not worth my hard-earned money. Now, with that said, we're jumping straight into it. We are about to witness essentially the third and most powerful wave of AI. And I am excited about this. And I'm excited about this because I think that essentially 99% of investors have no idea that it has already started. The first wave, we all know what that was. That was the chatbots. That was essentially when ChatGPT hit the market and everybody was, excited about it. Rightfully so, but that was the first wave of AI. The second wave is what's happening right now. The second wave of AI is where we are watching AI start to replace knowledge workers, the coders, the product managers, the finance people, X, Y, and Z. All of the skilled workforce are all getting their jobs slowly eroded, for lack of better words, by AI. Now, the third wave is a part that I don't see too many people talk about, hence why I believe like 99% of investors have no idea what's about to happen next. We're going to do a deep dive on that. But the third and final wave of this AI thing is super exciting. This is where AI actually gets a body. When it steps off of the screen and into hardwares, factories, and of course, eventually your home. This is, in my opinion, one of the most exciting absolute times to be an investor. When you start to recognize that AI is moving into some of the physical world, you're going to start recognizing a massive difference in the world that we sort of sit in now. And to be fair, I know a lot of people are going to listen to parts of this and say, oh my God, this sounds like science fiction somewhere 20 years down the line. I want you to understand that we are already seeing the signs of this now. Fun fact, not so fun. Amazon just did its largest layoff ever. And they said that a part of that layoff is just that now they are starting to use robots directly at Amazon. And that essentially means that we are all already getting early signs of it. Amazon is one of the largest companies on earth. So nobody is connecting the fact that the first $1 trillion wave of physical AI will not start in hospitals or homes. It's going to start in the most boring places imaginable. It's going to be in the factories, the mining facilities, X, Y, and Z. And the companies winning there right now are not the ones that are on YouTube making videos about robots hitting backflips. We're about to see robots fundamentally change every single thing about our country. So with that said, what's good, everybody? My name is Philip. I am the CEO of Benson AI, and this is, I think, our 6th episode of the Benson Report. For you guys that are trying to figure out what the heck this is, the Benson Report is where I come, share information with everyone, and talk about what's happening in the market, how this impacts all of us, and of course, how we at Benson are profiting off of this. This episode is titled The Next AI Wave. And we're going to be doing a deep dive on what is actually happening with this next phase of AI. I know that most people still struggle to wrap their minds around the fact that AI is actually something. You have regular people who are like, yeah, the most I've seen in AI is ChatGPT. And those people are well behind the curve. Up next, we are about to essentially see physical AI. First, why are warehouses the perfect battleground for all of this AI, physical AI stuff? 2, how China just changed the entire game with their export restrictions, and I think nobody's talking about it. And 3, why Tesla's new product, I think, is actually smarter than a lot of people recognize. And I think the exciting part about all this is just that we are not talking about hypothetical things here. I spent quite a bit of time really diving into this subject space, specifically for robots. I've spent a few hundred hours doing research. That is researching the startups that are in the space, the public companies in the space, the components of the space, the whole nine, well over a few hundred hours. And in the next 25 minutes, we're going to do pretty much as I can possibly give to make sure that you walk away from this with a solid understanding of what 99% of most other people are completely ignoring right now. But first, before we kick this off, I do want to give just two quick announcements. For a really long time, people on Android have been asking about what can they do. And for the longest time, I've said absolutely nothing. I've said, hey, you have no choice but to either buy an iPhone or, wait for another video drop because I cannot do too much for you. Well, as of today, we are officially releasing our newsletter. Now, this newsletter is going to be for everybody who does not have an iPhone who is not in the US. And what we're going to be doing with this newsletter is plain and simple, sharing our top 10 stocks. Right now, the only people that get access to our top 10 stocks are people that are actively on Benson. And of course, if you're on Benson, you're good. You know that the AI is going to be buying, selling, monitoring, reinvesting for you all automatically. But for Android people and people that are in other countries, we finally have something that could actually help you out. So if you want to get access to the newsletter, all you simply do is go to the website. The website is meetbenson.com. That's MEET Benson, BENSON.com. Right at the top, you're going to see a big old pink banner that says top 10 stocks once a month. Hold on. I think I could actually just share my screen and show that. Let's see. Can somebody give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you can see this? Right here at the top of the screen, you will see this pink banner and it will allow you to click there and you can get access to our top 10 stocks every month. Fun fact, in 24 hours, we are actually going to be changing the price. So I say that because everybody who is watching this live actually get early access to it. It's going to be, the price is actually going to change literally in 24 hours. So if you want early access to these stocks, and keep in mind, we release our next set of stocks in about 2 days. For buying the subscription now, you would get both lists, aka you would get the October stocks and the November stocks. So all you do is there. But there's another thing on this page that I want you to focus on, which is the people who are skeptical. The people who are skeptical for a really long time have sat in these lives, watched, and absolutely did nothing. I understand when we're talking about money here, it does become nerve-wracking for people. It is what it is. But if you have been skeptical and you're just trying to say, hey, I need to, try some things out, there's another thing on this screen that I want you to pay attention to. Right next to that white button all the way at the top is there's something that says free stock ideas. Now, to be fair, you are not going to get this month's or last month's or even the stocks that we shared 2 months ago. But we shared some stocks about 6-7 months ago that we still think are really great. You can get access to those for, again, completely free. That is specifically for people who have been skeptical about, do we know what we're talking about here? Now, to be fair, if you're on Benson already, none of those stocks are going to be valuable for you. Those stocks are stocks that you saw 6, 7, 8 months ago that most people are still going to be well behind the curve with. But if you're looking for something free because, hey, you don't think investing is that important just yet, you can go ahead and just click that button for free stock ideas. Now, again, you're not going to be getting the October or November stocks here, but nonetheless, you do have access to some stocks that we shared 6, 7, 8 months ago that, we still think are pretty exciting. So those are the two major updates. One, if you want access to this month's stocks and you are not on Benson or you're refusing to check Benson out, you can go ahead and just subscribe to the newsletter. If you are looking for something, just to test it out to see how we have been performing, you're left behind. But two, you can just go ahead and click on that free stock ideas. It's completely free there. We'll share probably 2 or 3 stocks with you just so that you can really get an idea that we know what we're doing over here. Now, with that said, we're back to the main show here. This episode is called none other than the next AI wave. And over the next 25 minutes, we are going to do a deep dive on what's about to happen with AI next so that you are actually prepared for this. Because again, most people do not understand that AI is not going anywhere. We are watching the entire internet be rebuilt all over right in front of us, except this is happening way faster than we have ever seen before. Can somebody drop the URL in the chat? Somebody asked a question here, which was, what is the name of the website? Sorry, I didn't say it again. The name of the website is meetbenson.com. And yeah, now with that said, bullet point number 1 for today's episode, and y'all know I'm going to be speeding through this because I always say 45 minutes and we always talk for an hour and a half. So I want to be mindful of people's time here. But with that said, bullet point number 1 on today's docket. There are 3 waves of AI and why physical intelligence completely changes everything. Wave 1, as I said earlier, wave 1 was ChatGPT. That was when in 2023, I believe, maybe end of 2022, ChatGPT dropped and completely changed everything. We all saw it. It was on the news nonstop. Heck, it is still that important today. Fun fact that people may not know, but ChatGPT hit 100 million users within 2 months. 100 million users within 2 months. What does that mean? That means ChatGPT essentially became the fastest adopted technology in human history. The internet took way more time for to hit 100 million people. ChatGPT did that in 2 months. And of course, it took over everything after that, and it is still hitting headlines today. But again, ChatGPT hit 100 million users within 2 months. It is absolutely insane to think about just how quickly regular people picked up AI. That was phase 1. We're well beyond phase 1. Phase 2 is where we are now. Phase 2 is where we start to see AI that is taking over skilled work. Lawyers, as an example, are all watching jobs get evaporated right in front of them because now most people are just using ChatGPT as their, hey, review this contract for me. It's the same thing happening for engineers. We're watching the software engineers decide to use these AI tools that are making them a lot faster, a lot smarter, and a lot more efficient with their time. That is the wave we're in right now. And this wave can be described as AI going for the people with advanced degrees. There's a fun fact that came out a few months ago, which is AI is now smarter in every subject matter when compared to PhDs. Most people in the United States did not go to college. So we are talking about AI that is now smarter than a person with an advanced degree in their own subject matter. I don't think people understand just how incredibly smart AI actually is. It is replacing people who have PhDs in their subject matter. And I don't know if y'all know, but it takes 5 years on average for you to get your PhD after you've handled your, I guess, master's. Most people pick up their master's on the way. I should know this. My best friend has his PhD. But nonetheless, AI is now smarter than most of the smart people with PhDs. So it is absolutely phenomenal. And again, we still have regular people who think AI is just another joke. There are still people who only use AI to write emails. Most people right now are in wave number 1 of AI. Thank you, Pam, for saying that. Yes, please don't drop the stocks in the chat, but I am glad that you are happy about the stocks. Most people are sitting in like wave number 1. We are now approaching wave number 3. Wave number 3 is where these companies start to essentially use robots with AI chips directly in their actual offices and facilities. Perfect example. Amazon just started testing Agility's digit robot in operations. And I don't know if y'all heard the news, but it was quite literally today that Amazon came out and said that they're firing 10% of their workforce. That workforce is no longer needed because AI has essentially made it drastically easier for, the top 10% of the population at Amazon to continue working. But in addition to that, Amazon is also rolling out these pilots. And these pilots are where they are bringing these actual robots directly into their headquarters, directly into their factories, so that these robots can start moving boxes, packing boxes, X, Y, and Z. This is the third wave of AI, and it has already started. It's not just Amazon either, by the way. We're seeing this with Tesla. Tesla is targeting their new Optimus robot, version 3, by the way, for early 2026. And I'm going to do a whole little deep dive on Optimus, but Optimus is absolutely going to change the game in some insane ways. And when I talk about insane ways, let's just talk about numbers really quickly. According to Bank of America, by the top of the century, aka within 5 years, the average cost of one of these AI robots is going to be somewhere around $13,000 to $17,000. By 2030, the average cost of these robots that have AI chips built into their heads are going to be, on average, $13,000 to $17,000. That is going to be cheaper than a car. Actually cheaper than a car. And let me explain why physical AI, again, this idea of these robots, let me explain why it is so different from anything we've seen before. ChatGPT allowed us to process information. Coding assistants allow us to essentially write software. But physical AI, aka robots, allows us to manipulate the real world. This is going to be like going from designing something on your screen to telling a robot to do that job while a robot is standing right behind you. And in order to make that happen, there are some things that all need to work perfectly. One, you need sensors so that the robot can see. We already have that already. You need actuators, which essentially help the robot move. You need balance systems so that, of course, the robot doesn't fall over. And then, of course, you need intelligence so that the robot can adapt to situations that are new and or could be wrong. All of those components are already here today. So when I talk about this idea that robots are about to be the next big wave of AI, we already have all of the ingredients. We are already seeing some of the largest companies on earth start to implement it. MIT came out with a report earlier this year. If I remember correctly, this was around January of 2025. And they called this the embodiment problem, which is getting AI to understand physics, not just images and pixels. And the reason that this matters now is because these three technologies have just converged. Back in January, they were saying, hey, this won't work until these three technologies all exist in perfect unison. Today, those three technologies exist. One, vision models that actually work. The reason why so many of us nerds were super excited about, Google coming out with AI videos or even Sora is because those are exactly vision models. When AI can help people understand how a water droplet actually ripples through water, that's physics. That is allowing these robots to see what is actually happening in real life. Number two, that this MIT report dropped and said, hey, we need to see this before AI can go into the physical world. Two was chips that are powerful enough to process information in real time. We are well beyond that. We all seen this already. We all use ChatGPT, so we know that these chips can process information in real time. It's incredibly fast. And then last thing was actuators that were cheap enough to mass produce. We have that as well now. So I want you to think about this from this practical wave of every single technology is building on top of each other. Wave 1 gave us computers that had the ability to talk. Wave 2 gave those computers the ability to think and create. Wave 3 is giving those computers the ability to do. And what do I mean when I say do? That means pick up boxes, assemble products, clean floors, fold laundry, the whole nine. Each wave is building on the last wave. And I know that when I go back home and talk to regular friends about this, people look at me and pretend that hey, I'm hoping that this doesn't happen. The reality is it's already happening. I know we love to believe and hope that AI is a bubble. At least some people want to believe that this AI stuff is a bubble. But the data is already here. We are seeing the early signs of it. And we are seeing companies that are releasing these products directly into their facilities now. Now, on the other hand, something to think about is that people will do their absolute best to ignore this reality until they can't anymore. However, every single person here is all listening because this is about to give all of us a lens into what the future looks like. And if we have a good idea of what the future looks like, we as investors have a huge, and I mean huge, advantage over everyone else. Most people are going to hear us talk about this information and they're going to think, oh, these people are, living in sci-fi. While we already started layering up on our investments that are, of course, contributing to this reality. That is what investing is. I want to remind everyone, investing is simply having an idea of what the future looks like, identifying the best companies that will allow that future to become a reality and parking your money there to say, hey, if this works out, I am going to hit big. That is what investing is. So the more that we start to understand what is happening right now, it allows us to then build our own idea and thesis around what's going to be happening over the next 5-10 years. I want you to think about that because that is no different from what people were doing back when they were buying NVIDIA 5-10 years ago. The computer engineers have been using NVIDIA chips for a really long time. NVIDIA is not some company that came out of nowhere. All the nerds were using NVIDIA chips well before it became the NVIDIA that's on the news today. And those people started buying NVIDIA chips back when, they were affordable, and they started buying the stock back when, it was, let's say, $2. We all know the story of NVIDIA now, but the people who made the most money were the people that started buying it 5-10 years ago. Right now, we are about to see this exact same opportunity happen for all of us. And I have a lot of data on this. Perfect example. Within the first 6 months of 2025, investors already put $6 billion towards robotics investments. That $6 billion is in the private markets. That is where all of the venture capitalists are. $6 billion in 6 months is more than the last 3 years combined. I'll say that again. Within the first half of 2025, private investors already put in $6 billion. $6 billion is more than the last 3 years combined. So all of us, finance people, nerds around AI are all getting very excited about this next wave. The constraint is not technology anymore. In the past, we had purpose-built robots, aka robots that only did one specific job. Think of that as just a factory that has a massive robot that only does one job, which is, pour liquid into a bottle. Fine, whatever. We are well beyond that now. You can think about putting these AI chips directly into the head of one of these robots, and now they can think faster than us. They can move faster than us. They can lift faster than us. They are not as tired as us, and they will work drastically longer than us. So the constraint is no longer technology. We have the ingredients already. The constraint is actually manufacturing scale. And I think I think with a 95% chance I have already identified exactly how we are going to get through that sort of scale problem. I fundamentally think, and again, this is through researching a few hundred hours worth of robotics. I fundamentally think that the perfect breeding ground to test all of this in the real world is actually warehouses. And it's for a lot of reasons. One, there's a controlled environment. Two, there's a clear ROI, aka ROI means return on investment. And three, there is no safety concern. Part of the scary thing for most people about robots is like, what happens if a robot falls on your leg? You can't lift a 6,000 pound robot. Hey, warehouses, you don't got to worry about that. Two, with a clear ROI, you can immediately assess if this was a worthwhile investment. And then three, factories/warehouses are the perfect physical environment. It's flat grounds, no stairs, predictable floor plans. All of this stuff makes it incredibly easy for us to start testing out robots in warehouses. So when Amazon came out and said, hey, we are starting to test these robots out in our actual facilities, all of us knew exactly what that meant. That meant that they are going to use these next few months or years to essentially get these robots to be incredibly smart. The way I like to think about it is that these warehouses are going to be kindergarten for robots. And I think it's going to be kindergarten for robots because it's like supervised, it's safe, and more importantly, if these robots start to do well in these warehouses, not only is there commercial success there, then we start moving them along to middle school, high school, and then college, where we're saying, cool, now we need you to go out and do more things. Again, we already see robots operating on humans. We already see robots driving fully autonomously without humans, aka Waymo and Tesla already. So right now, we are essentially experiencing like the iPhone 3 moment for robots. It's not perfect, but it is good enough to change everything. And for those people who are old enough to remember the first iPhone, it was phenomenal. You had like Nokias and Blackberries at that point. So when iPhone 3 came out, you were like, oh, I get it. I get it. And again, based on all the data that we are seeing right now, this is the iPhone 3 moment, but for robots. And the single takeaway that I want you to understand from this first point of the docket is that the future is now. It is not waiting 5 or 10 years for you to make a decision. Again, in the first half of 2025, investors already put about $6 billion into these robotics companies. And it's because they understand that by the time regular investors see just how valuable it is, they would have inked in 100x returns on their investments. While everybody else is late to the party, those people would have inked in 100x returns on their investments. Real money is being made now, well before it hits the news, well before we find the next version of NVIDIA that has created the robotics company. And by the way, I do have a strong idea who I think is actually going to be that next NVIDIA, but specifically for robotics. Again, your job here as an investor is to look where other people are not looking. And of course, if you're on Benson, we're doing all of that for you all automatically. Some of the stocks that you are about to see in about 2 days are going to be stocks that are directly connected to this entire idea of what is about to happen over the next 5-10 years. Your job as an investor is to look where other people are not. And right now, the boring companies are building the infrastructure that allows these robots to operate at scale. And by the time most people recognize what is going on, it's going to be well too late. Think about like the number of people that are in your lives right now that still do not use AI. I truly want you to think about that. Is there anybody in your circle right now that does not use AI that you can think of? And I can guarantee you every single person that has thought of, that has actually given that question some thought, can answer absolutely yes. Without a doubt, we all know someone that is still not using AI. Now, if you're on Benson, you're already using AI. So you're by default checkbox, boom. But most of the people around you still have no idea that this is coming next. And this is what I mean. An investor is looking at the next 5-10 years while everybody else is still trying to catch up. I don't generally jump on and talk about, hey, this is the next big thesis that we are working on. Mainly because I understand that prior to these conversations, people thought that all of this AI stuff was a joke. Prior to you guys on Benson inking in such phenomenal returns, if I would have tried to explain this to you a year ago, you probably would have looked at me like I was crazy. But now that you get an idea of the fact that like, yo, this guy seems to really know what he's talking about here, it's a lot easier for you to say, all right, let me at least hear him out. So we've been building this thesis for at least a year and a half now. What does that mean when I say we've been building this thesis? That means we've been diving deep on it. We've been researching the entire industry, thinking about who are all the players, who are the people that supply these companies, who are the people that build those products, who are the people that are going to be the first companies to mass produce it and sell it to other companies. All of this information we've been researching for the last year and a half. And this is probably the first time where I can finally look around and say, yo, all of the components are here. There are no other blockers. All of the components are actually here now. We have AI chips that can process so much more information than they could a year ago. And to be fair, robotics, AI, all of this stuff has been around since like the 70s, 80s. So it is just the fact that we've had these technology breakthroughs that actually mean something now. And the smartest investors are starting to load up on the companies that they think are going to define the next 5-10 years. So if you don't understand your job right now, I want you to walk away with one single thing. Your job is to simply think about where the future is going. Start putting money there. Your goal is to find the next NVIDIA before it hits the news. And if you're on Benson, of course, we've teamed up and we're doing that together. So the good thing is just that, hey, you got some help here because you have, of course, all of this AI doing the research for you, me coming here explaining it to you, and then, of course, Benson doing the buying, selling all automatically for you. Now, if you're not on Benson, I want you to take this information that I'm about to share, and I want you to go spend the next 100 hours trying to figure out where you think all of this is going to pan out. Moving along. Headline number 2 here is that warehouses are the secret battlefield to all of this. And Tesla has a specific advantage here. RoboFab is a product that is a robot that is designed by this company called Agility Robotics. Today, they are already producing and selling 10,000 robots every single year. Amazon inked in a partnership with them to say, hey, give us that robot so we can start testing it in our factories. Tesla, in addition to Amazon, has come out and said, hey, we already have our autonomous robots that are currently working inside of factories now. These robots are already working inside of factories now. Tesla is on their V3 robot. And I want to address something that really, really bothers me because there's so much misinformation about this whole idea of robots. One of the biggest points of misinformation right now that, the news is going to try to sell you on is the fact that these robots are coming for your job. And before I explain this, I want to ask you, and again, I want you to actually think about this as I say this question. Can I convince you right now to go and work at Amazon in their warehouse for $25 an hour? Some people are going to say that's great. Other people here are going to say absolutely not. Most people, I cannot convince you to go and work at Amazon right now for $25 an hour. Lifting boxes, packaging boxes, carrying those boxes to cars, X, Y, and Z. We all know this. The same way I cannot convince you right now to go and be a trash man. If I cannot convince you to go and do that right now, what does that say about what's happening in the country right now? Let me connect the dots here because that sounds super abstract. I understand. The point is just that there are millions of jobs that people simply do not want right now. So when people say the robots are coming for your job, no, they're coming for the jobs that you don't want to do. They're coming for the jobs that say, hey, you're going to have to wake up at 4 a.m. and get to this factory. Most Americans don't want to go and work in a factory. Most people in this chat do not want to wake up and go carry trash out for a living. So there is this massive shortage of jobs that need to be filled right now that simply don't have people wanting to do it. Like I have family members who are like, bro, I'm broke and I still will not go and work at Amazon right now. And that's because they don't want to deal with lifting boxes. They don't want to deal with, the pay that Amazon gives for you lifting boxes and delivering those boxes. So there's this idea right now that these robots are coming for your job. It's not true. They're coming for the jobs that you simply are too good to work at. And when you look at the data, it supports it. Apparently right now, there are about 7.2 million open jobs right now for this low skill, high intensity work. Those jobs have not been filled. It is August. The government is shut down right now. People have been thinking we're in a recession for a really long time. And yet people are still not applying to work at Amazon warehouses. People are still not applying to be the trash man for their neighborhood. People are still not applying to be the taxi driver in their area or the Uber driver in their area. And yes, you may know 3 or 4 people who are comfortable to say, hey, I don't got no pride, I will do it. But for the most part, a lot of people here are like, yeah, no, you can't pay me to do that job unless, the pay just jumped up by like 2x. So again, there are a lot of jobs that need to be done right now in order to keep this country running that we as, spoiled Americans simply don't want to do. And I understand it. You could not pay me right now to go and work at an Amazon factory. So I'm not saying that you guys don't want to do it. I don't want to go and work at an Amazon factory right now. They wouldn't pay me enough to do it. So the same way that I think this, the same way that you think this, understand that there are right now 7.2 million jobs out right now that need to be filled that are going to be, again, not great paying, but is a job. And you won't apply for it, and it's okay. We understand that it is the reality. We as Americans, we do have a luxury, which is, hey, we want to make as much money as possible, and working at the factories are not going to do it for us. King Kai, you gave the perfect answer. 40 grip, he answered you correct. King Kai answered you correctly. But in addition to there being jobs that you simply don't want to do, you won't apply to do, there are huge economic benefits to these robots doing the job. I want to walk you through some basic numbers, so follow me along here. A warehouse worker in a high demand market right now costs about $25 to $35 per hour. And that's when you factor in overtime, benefits, and turnover. That translates to about $52,000 to $73,000 for one shift. Warehouses work and operate 24/7 though. So in order for that entire job to be filled, you need 3 workers to cover that one specific job. It is only so much. That a worker is allowed to work on any given day. So if you want 24 hours worth of workers working, that is essentially 3 individual different workers for that one job. What does that translate to? When you annualize that over the course of 12 months, that translates to, again, we're talking about hourly work, turnover, overtime, benefits. That translates to about $156,000 all the way up to $219,000 per role. Now, that's if you want to use humans. If you want to use robots, this game looks very different. Again, Bank of America said that by 2030, these robots on the high end are going to be around $17,000. Today, right now, these robots cost about $35,000. You compare that $35,000 to the $156,000, and that's the low end of what it costs for a human to do that exact same job. You make your money back in less than 3 months by using a robot compared to a human. And again, we are talking about math now. We are not talking about the future math when these robots actually cost about $17,000. Based on how much these robots cost now, it is cheaper for a company to go out, get a robot that is going to do that exact same job that you don't want to do. And then on top of that, it's going to make much more financial sense for them to do that. There's a part of this conversation. This is a total side tangent, but this is important for me. Right now we are watching in the United States, ICE. They're going around snatching up people. And, there's this idea that, immigrants have taken all the good jobs. And it's just the furthest thing from the truth. And the same way robots are not taking your job, the immigrants that have come to this country are doing the jobs that you don't want to do. And let's just say at a high level, let's throw out some easy examples that we can think about. The immigrants are, going out to be the taxi drivers, or going out to go and pick fruit at these farms, or waking up at 5 a.m. to start doing the construction work that you can't get Americans to do. So the same crappy idea that we have been pushing around about immigrants is the same crappy idea that we are now pushing out about robots. Oh, they're coming for your jobs, bruh. Again, you ain't applying to go and work at an Amazon factory. You ain't applying to go and pick fruit on some farm. You're not applying to go and clean somebody else's apartment. So no, they're not coming for the jobs that you want. So that's a little side tangent. I just had to throw that out there. There's this ignorant conversation going around about immigrants stealing jobs. No, immigrants are just doing the jobs that you don't want to do. Plain and simple. When you're out there, arguing and fighting for the job to pick fruit, then we can have a real conversation about the jobs and whether or not immigrants are actually competing with you. But with that said, back to what we were saying. Again, in order for a robot to do the job right now, it's going to cost about $35,000. For a human to do that exact same job on the low end is going to cost $156,000 all the way up to roughly $219,000. Based on current numbers, if a robot does that job for 3 months, they've already broken even. And these are numbers based on now, not based on the future. So the way to think about this, a simple translation is one robot equals 3 humans. I'll say that again. One robot equals 3 humans. On top of that, that robot can operate for 24 hours, 7 days a week. And on top of that, you only need one of those robots to do that exact same job that 3 humans you would have needed to do. So even when I start explaining this stuff to you, you're just like, oh crap, this makes a lot of mathematical sense here based on current numbers. What is it going to look like when these robots actually cost $17,000 to actually go out and do the same job? Now, the extra layer of this that I get super excited about, and this is where I just know that, I love this amount of research here. There's this other layer to this right now. Tesla just came out with a new chip, a new AI chip. This AI chip, and I want you to go ahead and after you hear this information, I want you to, go out and just check it out and see what you find. Tesla just came out with a new chip. It's called the A5 chip. And this is where I think stuff gets really interesting, and more importantly, why I think Tesla has a huge advantage over nearly everyone else here. Some people think that warehouse automation is just about moving boxes. No. Any robot can do that. Moving boxes is boring. No one cares about that. Other people see this as a proving ground for where only the best technology can survive. Having a robot work for 24 hours, 7 days a week is huge. When you look at what Tesla is doing, I want you to understand that they are quietly already building this army of robots. And this new chip, the AI5, thanks for that correction there, Big Country Kenneth. The AI5 there is a dual purpose chip. What does that mean when I say it's dual purpose? The same chip that autonomously drives a Tesla all around every city right now is the same chip that they are going to be putting into the heads of these robots. Tesla already has this infrastructure. This A5 chip is also built completely pretty much all in-house by Tesla. They also have troves of data that they have been able to use around the physical world. AKA, all of these Teslas all have cars on them. That is billions of hours worth of video footage around how does a actual robot, aka a car that drives itself, operate in the real world. They already have billions of hours of data there. Billions. And on top of that, these chips are going to operate in both cars and these robots. And on top of that, Tesla has been building this all in-house. They don't need NVIDIA for these chips. They've been building these chips specifically for them. Now, of course, they can sell these chips to other people, but no one cares about Tesla selling these chips to other people. What this means is just that Tesla, all in-house, can test this new autonomous robot that, by the way, is called Optimus in their factories first. Again, that means that Tesla will be able to say, hey, before we ever sell you guys a robot, we are going to have robots that have been operating in our factories for 9-10 months, building Tesla vehicles. They control the chips, they control the software, and they control the manufacturing. So everybody else is lining up around the corners for NVIDIA chips. Who cares about that going forward? And I'm not saying that NVIDIA is a bad company, so don't try to misconstrue my words. What I'm saying is just that Tesla doesn't need NVIDIA to build these chips. And this is where I'm sorry to hear that. Somebody said I'm freezing a little bit. I'll try to keep this going and wrap this up then. This is where I think the real advantage about Optimus gets very exciting. Optimus is that the whole point about all of this is that they are the only robot company that already mass produces AI hardware at scale. No other company is able to replace their factory workforce right now using robots the way the way Tesla does. Tesla is also one of the most technically difficult companies from a manufacturing point of view. So the fact that they are essentially already building and already testing these robots all in-house means that by the time Tesla starts selling these robots to other people, they have battle tested it way faster with way more opportunities to screw up than anyone else has. Everyone else is going to have to go out and sell these robots and then test them. Tesla is going to say, hey, no. We've been building them in-house for the last X number of years. And on top of that, we've been building the vehicles with these robots. And on top of that, they've been running 24/7. And on top of that, we have millions of hours worth of data to support just how much smarter our robots are. And on top of that, we control the entire supply chain. They don't go to NVIDIA for these chips. They build it all in-house. So by the time the world realizes that robots have taken over, Tesla has already built an army. Now, we got to acknowledge, y'all see my skin color. As a black man, we got to acknowledge this, which is, it is Elon Musk. I'm not saying that, Elon Musk is a great person. I'm not saying that Elon Musk is a guy I want to hang out with. What I am saying is that Elon Musk has built multiple billion-dollar companies. He has done a phenomenal job at taking an idea and turning it into real-life money. Some people may not know this. Elon Musk is the guy behind who built PayPal. He's also the guy, of course, that took Tesla. He didn't actually start Tesla, fun fact. He actually bought Tesla from one of his old investees, aka somebody he invested in, and then from there he decided to scale it. And he turned Tesla into one of the largest companies on earth. In addition to that, got a little detection here, so let me just fix this up. But on top of that, Elon Musk is also building a company that implants chips into people's brains. And on top of that, we are seeing the first commercial use of cars that can drive themselves, aka Tesla. These cars, we all know this, can pretty much fully drive themselves alone without a human having to jump in and do anything. All of these ideas were brought to us by this crazy genius, for lack of better words. So as I'm sharing this Tesla thing, I want you to understand that, why did I not mention SpaceX? Oh my God. Thank you for that, JB. SpaceX, he's also sending rockets out into outer space, catching them before they hit the ground. So again, we don't have to agree with Elon Musk on a political level. We don't even have to like the guy. But I think every person should decide whether or not they're willing to make money off of him. If you are comfortable making money off of him, you should be thinking seriously about what's happening right now. I don't. This is me going off of a little tangent here because I did not write this down for me to kind of speak to intelligently. But part of the reason why Tesla became one of the most well-known companies on earth is because Elon Musk a few years ago was presented with an insane payment package. The payment package basically said, hey, if you grow Tesla by 10x within X number of years. Wow, it keeps glitching. Oh, this really sucks. Let me try to see what I can do here. Somebody else said it keeps glitching. That means I know that the YouTube is going to be trash when I see this. It makes me sad because this is a topic I'm super excited about. What I was saying was that, somebody said it's okay. It's okay. So for some people it's doing well, for others it's not. It is what it is. I'll figure out what I need to do here. Somebody said it's not real bad. Thank you, Pam. Okay, back to this Tesla thing. A few years ago, Elon Musk was presented with a payment package, and the payment package said, hey, if you grow Tesla by, let's say, 10x, we will pay you a lot of money. I think it was a few $1 billion. However, if you don't grow it by 10x, you get nothing. I want you to think about that. That is the equivalent of your boss saying, hey, I want you to turn this company into the next NVIDIA. And if you don't do it, we don't pay you $1. You'd look at them and be like, bro, are you stupid? You're telling me I got to work for, 8, 9 years. And the only way I am going to ever get paid from that is if I turn this company into the next NVIDIA. You'd be like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You say screw off. That is what you would tell somebody if, they told you only get paid if you 10x the company. Well, guess who accepted that insane pay package? Elon Musk. And he accepted it. And then on top of that, he grew the company by 10x. Within that time frame, he turned Tesla into a company that nobody had heard of, all the way into one of the most valuable companies on earth. And guess what's happening right now? There is another payment package that is being presented to Elon Musk. And they're like, hey, this time we need you to turn Tesla into pretty much a robotics company. And if you do that, we're going to pay you $1 trillion with a T. The richest man on earth will be getting an additional $1 trillion if he turns his company into, one of the largest robotics companies on earth. And I share that information to say, hey, we'll see if it happens. I think there's a good chance that it does. But more than anything, given this guy's track record, he's not a guy I want to bet against. He's not a guy I want to bet against. So if you have not decided where you stand on, investing in Tesla or not, I want you to just ask yourself a few simple questions. Am I okay making money off of Elon Musk? And I understand some people are going to say, no, that's fine. That is totally fine. This is just a little rubric that I think people can look at this lens from. How am I going to feel if this company turns out to be the next NVIDIA and I did not invest? Or I did invest. If you're okay saying, hey, Tesla may be the next NVIDIA and I still wouldn't want to touch it, that's also okay. And then the last question is, am I going to be able to sleep at night with the amount of volatility that comes with Tesla? Those three questions are pretty much going to make it really easy for you to see which ballpark or which court you fall in. DDG, I see you. You can text me. We could do a quick call after I jump off of live. So if you are able to answer those three questions, that will let you know where you really stand. And I'm not telling you to pick any side. I am just giving you information so that you can think about this. Because also on Benson, everybody knows this. Tesla is a company that we have shared. And after some next few events that pop up, you will likely see it again. So when that stock is presented to you, you're going to have to say, hey, what do I think? Yay, nay. Now, with that said, Tesla has this massive advantage here. They are building them for their own company first. They're using those robots to actually be the guinea pigs before they sell it to anyone else. And again, all of this is happening well before they decide to sell any of their robots. This transformation is happening in places that nobody ever cares about. You don't care about what happens at 3 a.m. in some random warehouse in Indianapolis. You don't care about what happens inside of a Tesla Fremont factory on the floor or inside of the Amazon distribution centers. It's not sexy locations that anybody cares about. But what I can say, the next $1 trillion worth of value that is about to be created off of AI will be starting directly in those battlegrounds. And Tesla, in my opinion, is one of the most straightforward, thoughtless ways to think about getting exposure to this next wave of AI. And let's not even forget to mention, you go over to China right now, they have blackout factories. Some people may not know what a blackout factory is, so let me break this down super simply. A blackout factory is quite literally a factory where there are no lights. It is literally black inside of there. Oh, why are there no lights? I'm so glad that you guys asked. You guys are really helping me talk about this all dang day. Why are there no factories inside of these? Why are there no lights inside of these factories? Easy. There are no humans inside of those factories, meaning you don't need lights. Robots don't need eyeballs the same way humans do. Instead of that robot, having eyeballs, you just put an infrared camera on it. And then it's able to see in the dark, pick up those boxes, pack those boxes, deliver them to where they need to be. Assemble the next set of packages. China already has blackout factories. So when we, again, talk about what is happening right now, we're not talking about stuff that is not already in motion. It's insane. I understand. It sounds scary. I understand. But it is happening. And what that means for you is that you have to make the active choice on where you want to stand. Most people want to cover their eyes and stick their head in the sand. I get it. But that's not how you're going to make your money. So back to this Tesla thing, there are a lot of private companies that are also building these robots. But in order to figure out those private companies and put money into those private companies, one, you're going to need hundreds of hours worth of research. You're going to have to get access to those 50 or so different startups that are doing it. And then you're going to have to guess which one actually wins. And this is why I think, somebody in that space is going to win. But for most people, the easiest way to get exposure to AI robots is directly through Tesla. Tesla is already building the brains, the bodies, and has the factory space to test everything out before they ever have to sell it to another person. It's the iPhone strategy that we saw in the early 2000s. They control everything. They integrate everything and they dominate everything. It's absolutely about to be insane. So when I think about this for Benson specifically, this is exactly the sort of transformation that happens slowly and then suddenly. And most investors are going to miss that slowly part. Again, I mentioned this example earlier, but NVIDIA is not a company that was created in 2017. NVIDIA has been around since the late 90s, the early 2000s. But it was only in 2023. Hey, Jamal said the stream is much better on YouTube. So that's good to know. But again, NVIDIA is not a company that just started to exist in 2022 when everybody started hearing about it. NVIDIA started blowing up or really came into the scene in the late 90s to early 2000s. All the nerds and engineers and computer people and gamers, they were all using NVIDIA chips. They were all buying up the NVIDIA chips and NVIDIA stock because they were like, yo, NVIDIA is just really ahead of the curve. So think about that. Because again, most people are not going to acknowledge it until it is too late for them to profit off of it. Right now, every single person here is getting a nugget of information that is going to make it so much easier to say, hey, how do I park my money so that over the next 5-10 years, I get access to all of this stuff? And of course, if you're on Benson, this is the sort of research that we give away for free. So imagine just the amount of data and information that we are putting into our top 10 stocks for the month. Imagine the amount of data and information we are putting into it when we look at your entire portfolio and say, hey, you don't have exposure to this space. Here's another 3 or 4 stocks that you need to look at. So this is the free information. If your goal is to really, be on this journey with us, be investing in this next wave of, AI that is absolutely going to take over this country. One, of course, go ahead and download Benson. I cannot say that enough because you are not going to be willing to put in, 300, 400, 500 hours worth of research to figure out how to get exposure here. About half of the people in the chat right now are already on Benson. So I know that I'm talking to people who are already, on the boat with us. But if you are not there yet, you got a few things that you can do. The easiest thing is going to be for you to go ahead and download Benson, get it set up. I will text you to help you get it all figured out too. The next thing is that if you don't have an iPhone you're outside of the US, you can just go straight to the website, which is Meet Benson, and then subscribe to the newsletter. Again, within 24 hours, we're going to be changing the price on the newsletter. So this is just get it early. If you subscribe today, also, you will be getting access to October's stocks and November stocks, which we are going to be releasing in about 2 days. And then the last thing is that if you absolutely want to do the absolute bare minimum, go to the website, meetbenson.com, click on free stock ideas, and we will show you some ideas that we shared 7-8 months ago. They still are going to be way better than what you're doing right now. I can guarantee you that. But we will still share some of those. And that's just for free. We've gotten so good at this point now that we are comfortable just saying, hey, we will share the plays that we made, 8 months ago. And by the way, if you are on Benson now, you do not need the newsletter. You don't need the newsletter if you are on Benson. Benson is already doing everything automatically. You do not need the newsletter if you are on Benson. You also don't need the free stocks if you're on Benson. We're showing those stocks that we shared with you probably, months ago. So nothing for you to do there. So if you're on Benson, you're good. Benson is probably going to be the easiest, most helpful tool that you can use. But if you want to, take it down a notch and be like a C student, go grab the newsletter. If you want to be a C- student, go ahead and grab the free stocks. If your goal is to be an A- in the A category here, you absolutely want to jump on Benson. And it's mainly because of one simple thing, which is that tool is going to be automatically doing the buying and selling for you. Now, with that said, let me answer that one question. How much do you need to get started? You don't need a lot to get started. Benson invests on a weekly basis. You can get started with like $15. It's really that cheap. The idea, though, is what's important is not how much you start out with. It is how long you continue to invest. That is where it starts to make a big difference. But with that said, I still got one more thing in the docket that I need to cover. And then I'll jump to the end and answer some questions. The only hole in this entire thesis right now about AI robotics is what's happening in China right now. And if you can't tell, I'm incredibly excited about it. China just came out and said, hey, We don't want Americans to have access to rare earth minerals. In China, fun fact, controls 90% of the rare earth minerals globally. Why are these rare earth minerals incredibly important? It allows us to essentially build all devices that we need. The magnets in these robots, the chips in our phones, the AI chips, all of those, you need rare earth minerals. Jamal asked a really good question. I should have answered that earlier. It is just the newsletter that will be increasing. So back to this China thing. China owns 90% of the supply of the materials that everybody needs in order to do well with this AI stuff. Well with the robotics, the autonomous vehicles, all of this. Essentially, you need 1 kilogram of magnets per humanoid robot. What just happened, though, is that the U.S. decided to strike back. China came out and said, hey, yeah, nah, we're going to limit the U.S. from getting this. The U.S. said, cool, don't worry about it. And they just purchased $400 million worth of a specific company called MP Materials. That gives the U.S. strategic access to the rare earth minerals that we absolutely need in order to dominate for the next few years. Now, here's what most people don't understand about rare earth minerals. It's not actually about the mining. It's about the processing. So the actual material can be found all around the world. But China has spent the last 30 years building the infrastructure that allows us to take that raw dirt and then extract out all of the minerals we need from that dirt. So nobody else is essentially able to do that as well as China because China has spent the last 30 years. But in full transparency, you can dig at pretty much anywhere on Earth and grab up the materials. But again, you can't extract it. And we're talking about all these rare earth minerals. We're not just talking about copper. We're not just talking about even gold here. We're talking about all of these rare earth minerals that essentially help us allow us to create magnets. You can find it all around the world, but to extract it out of the actual material that it is sitting in, China has the head start here. They've been building this out for 30 years. Every robot joint essentially needs these magnets for precise movements. No magnets, no robots. It's really that simple. And Beijing came out a few days ago and said, hey, this is a national security. But we all know what the truth is. The truth is the fact that, it's really about controlling the future of automation. China does have a head start on automation. They don't want anyone else to catch up. And right now, the U.S. is like, yo, hey, we need to be doing what they're doing over there. So now all these U.S. companies are saying, yeah, no. We need a piece of that pie. China is incredibly efficient with robots. Nobody else compares to China in terms of robotics, except now the U.S. just walked onto the big stage. And the problem with what China just did is that they did it, in my opinion, a bit too early. They revealed all of their cards before they should have. Essentially, what they just did is said, hey, this is how we're going to try to control you. Now, why is this so exciting for us? This is super exciting for us because as United States, we now have the luxury to say, cool, we need to be smart to start thinking about where else can we source these materials from. And because of that, the United States just acquired $400 million of one of the largest companies in the U.S. that allows us to do this. People may not also know this, but the reason why China is able to accelerate so quickly is because the country will come in and say, we want to support these specific companies. Now, for the first time pretty much in history, we are starting to see the United States say, hey, China does that really well. we need to also support our winners. So why don't we put $400 million to make sure that we also have access to the rare earth minerals that we all are going to need? Because this is also now a, national security measure for us too. So basically, they have been trying to pause, the Western development of robots. And now we're like, hey, you should have never told us that, because now we're just going to start buying up everywhere else so that you can't control the supply chain as much as you currently do. So fine, we'll throw $400 million into making sure that we can do this all on our own without you. And again, this is where we're talking about chess happening right now. Some people see this as China's kill shot. They were essentially trying to stop robotics from being developed in the United States before it ever started. And then other people would say that this is just negotiation theater that will resolve after, things settle down with these US-China tensions. But when you look at the innovation that's happening in this space already, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we know exactly where they are going to aim at. It is going to be say, hey, let's cut out the minerals so that they can't build it. Okay, cool. We love this technology boost already. So we are going to say we're going to start sourcing it elsewhere. So when we say elsewhere, guess what just happened? Within the last few months, there has been multiple Japanese companies that have come out that have started to develop robots that use, and we're talking about AI robots that use 40% less of these rare earth magnets. I'll say that again. China has been the head honcho for a really long time. We buy these rare earth minerals directly from China currently. And they came out and said, cool, we are going to stop the U.S. from buying it. The U.S. said, cool. Say less. We're going to look at, somebody else. And who is that somebody else? That somebody else happens to be Japan. Japan, again, there are multiple companies in Japan already that are developing robots that use drastically less magnets than what we currently need. Now, this is exciting because Tesla and all of these other companies are already starting to design alternative actuators to say, hey, in case this goes to the pooper, we need to be able to build a different type of actuator, an actuator that is just like the Japanese companies that essentially allows us to build these robots with drastically less magnets from China. And there is this tool right now that all of these robotics people are super excited about. It's called Isaac Sim. It's from NVIDIA. I won't nerd out too much, but it allows these companies to design these robots virtually before they ever get out into the real world. Why is this crazy? It is absolutely insane because they can test out all of this information well before they ever have to go and spend a single dollar on it. Said otherwise, zooming out a bit, this China thing just made it very clear where the U.S. has been flying blind. It's been the rare minerals. Now that we know that, the U.S. is now starting to put a lot of money behind saying, hey, why don't we start looking elsewhere? And that elsewhere, in the short term, it does create a little pain. Who cares? From 2025 to 2027, there will be a little pain if this, Chinese pause on exports continues. In the medium term, stuff is about to look absolutely insane. And it's because, again, we already started looking at Japan as an alternative. In the long term, China becomes completely irrelevant in our game of robotics. And guess who happens to be one of the most innovative companies on Earth? Bing, bing, bing. You guessed it. Tesla. Tesla, for a really long time, has been operating under very strict sort of guidelines around what materials they can get and source versus what they have to do all on their own. There is no person on Earth that understands manufacturing better than Elon Musk and arguably Tim Cook. No one else on Earth understands manufacturing, supply chain, logistics better than those two guys. And one of those guys just came out and said, hey, my entire focus over the next number of years is going to be specifically robotics. And I think, again, China just made the classic mistake of showing their cards too early, allowing us to pivot, say, cool, say less, buddy, and now let's focus on Japan. Japan has better designs that use less minerals. Cool, let's start there. And in fact, when you look at what Elon Musk has been doing, he's been doing extra trips, flying these Japanese engineers out here to say, hey, teach us the game so that we can do it as well. So this is about to be a phenomenal and exciting next few years. Next few years is about to be absolutely insane. And the single most important thing that I want you to take away from this third point in the docket is that supply chain controls determine who the actual winners are going to be. Tesla happens to be a vertical integration play that all of a sudden looks incredibly genius. While most robotic companies scramble for the rare earth alternatives, Tesla already controls batteries, chips, and manufacturing. They've spent a decade learning how to manage supply chain through chip shortages and battery crunches. I don't know if y'all remember this. A few years ago, Tesla was struggling to get batteries. These AI chips were not as readily available. Tesla was still dominating through that entire time. Again, there is no person on earth that understands manufacturing and supply chain better than Elon Musk and Tim Cook. Western rare earth miners like MP Materials just became strategic assets with government backing and guaranteed profit. But the real opportunity, in my opinion, here is, or essentially are the companies that are developing the alternative materials that bypass China completely. If you happen to patent one rare earth free actuator design, you were sitting on billions and billions of dollars. It's not too many companies who I think have the opportunity to build something like that that completely shakes us up. What I want you to take away from this, if you have not heard a single thing else, what I want you to take away is that robots with AI chips are the next wave of AI. These robots are going to do jobs that no one else wants to do. They're going to do it a lot faster and a lot cheaper. And we at Benson have already started scooping up some of these suppliers that allow this technology to exist. So while all of your friends right now in the real world are looking at AI as if it's a joke, as if it's not real, as if, I can just close my eyes, we over here at Benson have already started to say, hey, who's going to be the next NVIDIA over the next 5-10 years? That person or that entity is going to be the companies that happen to be building these robots. Tesla is just one of the easiest plays to think about that. So I can say Tesla out loud because I do know that there are going to be companies that do a lot better. And it's going to be because they are supplying these companies to actually build these robotics. So if you are trying to say, hey, I want to get ahead of the curve. One, if you're on Benson, we got you already. Don't worry. If you're doing this on your own, though, I will say, take anything that I said here and go and research it. If you don't believe me, go and research it. I've spent hundreds of hours on this information already. I am very confident when I, get here, and right now there are 150 something people here. I get 150. That's good, y'all. I don't know when was the last time I had 150 people. But when I get here and say this sort of stuff, it is only because I feel confident after hundreds of hours worth of research on this one thing. I fundamentally think that in the next 5 years, America is going to look incredibly different. We're seeing the early signs now. Amazon and Tesla are already testing out these robots. Tesla just happens to be the company that is building it all in-house well before anybody else. This is not a joke. This is not some, hey, the world's crumbling, close your eyes, stick your head in the sand. No. These sort of opportunities are what make real investors real money. Real investors, again, don't sit around and wait for everyone else to already put their money there. Real investors start saying, yo, what's happening right now that is going to change the next 5, 10 years? Again, you compare that to going out into the world where most of your friends still don't even use AI. We are approaching the third wave of AI, and most people are still stuck in wave number 1. So if your goal is to stay ahead of the curve, lock in. It's about time. Yeah. Now, with that said, we are above 100,000 likes. I am going to share the stock. Ooh, my live just went out. I'm going to share the stock of the day. But before I share the stock of the day, I do want everyone to know one thing. Y'all been getting to 100,000 likes way too easily. So we got to up the challenge a bit. The next challenge, aka Thursday, is going to be different. It is not going to be solely based on if we can get this chat up to 100,000 likes. It is going to be, can we get to 100 subscribers on YouTube? So, with that said, if you want to contribute early, right now we are at, I think, 42 subscribers on YouTube. Some people have already subscribed. Y'all know I am now trying to get comfortable with this YouTube game. It's very nerve-wracking. But again, this is the 6th video on YouTube, which feels absolutely amazing. I've been pushing YouTube off for a really long time. So if you want to be a part of the next crew that gets the next stock of the day, I'm actually about to type it in the chat. The name of the YouTube is called Benson Report. If you go to Benson Report on YouTube, click that subscribe button. Because, how does TikTok stuff be going, y'all? It may be worthwhile to have like a separate dedicated space to just talk about this in nauseam. So on Thursday, when we come back, the only way we are going to get the stock of the day is actually if we have 100 subscribers on YouTube. Now, of course, we can all contribute to that now by going. You can do this while we are on TikTok Live, by the way. You don't got to wait until we get off. You can do this right now. If you're on the live, you can swipe up. TikTok will still be showing my face. You'll still be able to hear me. You'll still be able to see me. Open your iPhone. Go to the YouTube app, type in Benson Report, and just hit subscribe. I think we're at 42 people there now. Hey, we just got another person jump in. And also, if I'm correct, Jamal said, I should do that, Bones. That would make it a lot easier. Thanks for the idea there. Jamal said that also the YouTube is a bit clearer. El Severson, I see you. What's good? This whole time it's only been Jamal over here on YouTube. WSC, good to see you. So the next goal is for us to get up to 100 subscribers on YouTube. And we're trying to jumpstart that by giving everybody here a head start. Now, before I jump into the stock of the day, I do want to give 2 announcements that I already gave, but some people may not have been here the entire time. If you're on an Android or you're not in the US, you can still get access to the top 10 stocks. Benny, good to see you. You can still get access to the top 10 stocks. We have a newsletter now. This newsletter every single month is going to share with you our top 10 stocks. If you go to meetbenson.com, right at the top, hold on, I can share my screen again here, y'all. I want to make this easy for y'all. Oh, that was the YouTube. Right at the top of Meet Benson, let me get this loaded up. Right at the top of meetbenson.com, you are going to see the option to get the newsletter. Again, if you're on Benson, you don't need the newsletter. You already get the newsletter and you get the AI that is doing the investing for you. But if you happen to be on an Android or not in the US, meaning you cannot use Benson, the next best alternative is for you to actually go ahead and subscribe to the newsletter. Just like everybody on Benson, you are going to get the top 10 stocks every month. And more importantly, if you were to subscribe today, you are also going to get October stocks and you are going to get November stocks. So it helps you out because for the price of one, you are about to essentially get 20 different stocks that, we are super excited about. And all you have to do to get access to the newsletter is go straight to meetbenson.com. Right at the top, click that pink banner. Now, last announcement before we jump into the stock of the day. If you just want some old ideas that we have, old ideas 7-8 months ago, click on the button that says free stock ideas. I will quite literally myself text you 3 or so different stocks that we shared maybe 7-8 months ago. That gives you the opportunity to, say, hey, how did those stocks perform? Do I like them? And, sometimes we will still think that those are super exciting stocks. So if you're looking for something free, you can just click on free stock ideas. I will text you myself to let you know, hey, here are 3 stocks that I think are super exciting that we shared 6 months ago. Everybody on Benson already had access to these. So it's not a big deal for us to share it. Everybody on Benson already started buying these up months ago, so we could give those away for free now. But if you want to know what we are doing now, what stocks we're buying next month, 1, you have the option to just do the newsletter. But 2, if you're on an iPhone in the US, just go ahead and download Benson. It makes it a lot easier. And more importantly, the AI would be doing it all for you automatically. Now, with that said, we got to 100,000 likes. So let me give the stock of the day before I jump out, y'all. It's been a lot of talking. Let me drink a little water. And I haven't played the commercial. So if y'all don't know what Benson is your AI investing app that does all of your investing for you automatically. We research thousands of stocks each month and show you our best 10. Once you approve the ones you like, we take care of the rest, buying and selling all automatically. All right, y'all. I got a little water. We got a little commercial in. Last thing to go over is the stock of the day. Everybody on Benson, you saw this already. You profited off of this already. And more importantly, you have been buying this stock up for months. Today, a stock that I have been talking about in nauseam since at least November of last year opened up and crushed it today. I also, fun fact, shared this stock about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, as the stock of the day. Yesterday, this company came out and gave us an update for how they've been performing over the past 3 months, and they absolutely crushed it. And they crushed it so well that the stock earlier today, Bones, I think it is accessible for Max, so go ahead and give it a shot. The stock opened up today 17% up. If you're on Benson and inside of the CEO Club, I already texted you about this. This is a stock that, again, most people in Benson are already owners of, and we have been buying it up for months. So far for the year, since January, this stock is up 230%. I want to put that into perspective. This stock is up 230% since January. Nvidia, as an example, is up 42% since January. So while most people have been looking at Nvidia as the holy grail of great stocks to jump into right now, We have been buying this stock up since at least November, at least. And this stock is up 227% compared to Nvidia's 42%. Why do I share that with you? I share that because sometimes it's hard to wrap your mind around just the amount of research that we are doing on these stocks before we go out and share it with people. And I'm not saying that, we got a crystal ball here. We're going to get 100% correct. No. We're realistic here. We follow the data. And this company happens to support all of these data centers that are being built out. And on top of that, they've been trading at a massive discount compared to all of the mega cap companies. This stock is also a stock that we are still excited about. We bought it up last week for the regular purchases with everybody. We bought it up the week before that. And again, we've been buying it up at least since November of last year. This stock is none other than Celestica, ticker CLS. And if you are trying to get an idea of just how ahead of the curve everyone on Benson is, I want you to go and look at this stock and just click YTD, which stands for year to date. And I want you to look at the sort of returns that most other people on Benson have been getting because we've been buying this up for months. And more importantly, we're still excited about the stock. Now, that does not mean that you should go and throw all of your money into this company just because you heard it from me. I'm not saying that by any means. That would be quite silly. And I'm not being sarcastic there. That would actually be really silly for you to go and throw all of your money into this single stock. King Kai just said they're up 144%. King Kai started investing less than 6 months ago, by the way. So as I share this stock, I want you to understand, if you're not on Benson, you're late to the ball game. It's okay. We still think this stock has more upside. Now, what we won't do, we won't tell you when we get out. We won't tell you when our opinion changes on this stock. In order for that sort of like real-time information, you, of course, just has to be on Benson. Now, it is, and I still believe this, it is still a phenomenal company, especially if you are trying to figure out what is some other value out there that you can be looking at outside of the companies like NVIDIA. And granted, NVIDIA is still a phenomenal company. So is Palantir. Stephanie just dropped in the chat. She's up 364%. That meant that Stephanie, when the stock dropped in April, she was scooping it up. Everybody else started panicking. Oh my God, Trump is ending this world with these tariffs. Stephanie said, haha, not for me. Marissa just dropped in. She's up 364% with this stock. Marissa also was aggressively investing during the month of April. And how is it possible that, the stock is up 227% for the year, and yet people here are up 360+% with it? It's because we bought the dip. I cannot underscore just how easy life is when you have a AI that is doing it for you. You don't have to worry about getting emotional, getting panicked about what's happening. The AI is saying, don't worry, I got this. You go focus on life while we focus on the actual investing part. Buying the dip is incredibly difficult. Most people cannot click that button because it is very difficult to do when you recognize the market is dropping. So that's the whole benefit of having AI do the job for you. So with that said, the stock of the day for today is Celestica. If you're not on Benson, be smart. This does not mean that you should go out and throw all of your money in there. That's not what we do. That's not what smart investors do. But look at it. If you want to get an idea of what we've been doing, that's it. And we got a lot more to come. A lot more. This AI robotics stuff is opening up a whole new ball game for us. Easter said, I was in Benson last November. I remember this. Easter stopped because they were skeptical, if I remember correctly. And Yeah, things have been going incredibly well. So I hope that at some point in time, Easter, you jumped back in. But yeah, again, I know that some people are skeptical. Again, I am a 6'3" black man jumping on the internet to talk about money. When's the last time you saw some big old black guy talking about money? It's not often. It's okay. I understand it. But a part of these live chats is just that you get to also hear from other people who are using the app. You get to realize like, yo, this guy is, he's going to show up consistently. He's going to text you after you download the app, and he's going to let you know, hey, I'm here to help. Sorry. Christianity, welcome to the CEO Club. So yeah, I do understand that. Again, I'm a black guy sitting on the internet talking about money. We come from communities where people don't talk about money, and more importantly, people take advantage of people. Like we don't got to lie about that. We don't got to be we don't got to hide behind that. But if you have not been here before, just click that follow button, because you're going to see me show up consistently. You're going to see other people here in the chat to give you context about what's happening. You are going to also get an idea of just how consistent we all are about this investing thing. And then when you finally get the courage to download Benson, I'm going to shoot you a text and say, hey, do you need any help? Let me give you a few pointers to help you do this the smart way. And by the way, if you join the CEO Club, I'm going to shoot you early a little message early, right before we drop the stocks, and say, hey, by the way, of the top 10, this one happens to be one of my favorites, and I know people are going to look over it. So you get a lot of perks, not to mention the daily podcast, not to mention the automatic investing. You get a lot of perks when you jump on Benson. But we all got to be honest here. Money is already nerve-wracking for a lot of us. I don't hide behind that. That's why we're on live here. That's why we're talking. That's why these are recorded. You'll see this on YouTube as well. I've been talking now for 1 hour and 47 minutes. My mouth is dry. So if you have an iPhone and you're in the United States, go ahead and download Benson. You won't regret it. You won't. If you are on an Android or outside of the United States, your next best thing is for you to... Evan Lau is calling me back right now. I'm actually going to answer this right now just because Evan is actually one of the people using the app. Evan, I am on live. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you doing, man?
Good. Were you giving me a call back from earlier, or were you jumping from the live?
No, I'm sorry, but I'm actually, it's a dialysis night. I'm out of it.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't even mention that. I'm sorry, bro.
All good. I can give you a call back later. I just saw something with your portfolio. Wanted to give you a little pointer.
Okay.
I'll give you a call later.
Can you call me tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll call you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, man.
No problem. Bye. Earlier today, I was analyzing people's portfolios randomly. Evan Lau was one of the guys I was analyzing, and I saw something that would like help him out. So I was just like, yo, let me give him a call. He didn't pick up, but he just called back. But that is the level of, customer service you get when you jump on Benson with us. Now, with that said, if you are on an Android or you're outside of the United States, you can just go ahead and jump on the newsletter. That will at least tell you what are our top 10 every single month. You're going to get this at the same time that Benson people get this as well. And if you want to do something and just, get some free ideas, you can also go to the website, which is again, meetbenson.com, and look at this button that says free stock ideas. I'll share with you some ideas that we, placed orders on 7-8 months ago, but nonetheless, it'll still be better off than what you are likely doing now. And that's not a way to like make you feel bad, but that is a way to say that, hey, we are really good at what we do. Give us a look. With that said, y'all, I need to log off. I'm tired. And this has been a phenomenal conversation for me. It feels good that I got to come here and nerd out with you guys. And it's because there are not many friends that want to listen to me talk about this stuff. But it is 9:30 over here. I do need to get some rest. I will be back Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern for the next live. The next live again, we'll have a whole nother stock of the day. But in order to get there, we got to get to 100 likes or 100 subscribers on YouTube. The YouTube is called Benson Report. I know I got a little lisp. I know I got a little lazy tongue. But yeah, that is all that I have. Good night, everyone. I need to jump now. Peace. And I will also answer that last question. No, we don't do options. If you want to gamble, you got to do that on your own. We are going to help you out with the investing side. With that said, jump on Benson if you need help. Peace out, y'all. Boom. Ending live now.